Some people mistake cancer for softness because they only notice the water. They don't notice the tide. They don't notice how the moon can move an entire ocean without raising its voice. Cancer power doesn't announce itself with fireworks. It enters quietly, reads the room in a single breath, and feels what everyone else is trying to hide. Then it chooses what to do with that truth. That's exactly why it triggers people. Because cancer isn't just emotional. Cancer is emotional intelligence with a memory. It's sensitivity that learned discipline. It's love that survived disappointment and still stayed capable of tenderness. And in a world where most people survive by pretending not to care, a soul that actually cares, deeply, consistently, and without begging for permission, can feel like a threat. If you've ever felt misunderstood for being intense, intuitive, or too much, subscribe to Signs and Secrets now, because this is where your depth stops being a burden and starts becoming a map back to your power. The first reason cancer power triggers people is simple. You can feel what they are, not what they say. Some people build their entire identity on performance, being agreeable, being impressive, being fine. Cancer walks in and senses the tremor under the smile, the storm behind the joke, the hunger behind the confidence. You don't even have to expose them. Your presence alone makes them aware of what they've been avoiding. And most people don't hate being seen. They hate being seen accurately. The second reason is your loyalty has weight. Cancer doesn't love lightly. When you care, you invest. You remember, you protect. You show up in ways that don't make sense to someone who treats connection like a transaction. That kind of loyalty can trigger people who are used to love that's convenient. Because if you're loyal like that, then their half-effort stands out, their disappearing acts stand out, their selfishness has nowhere to hide. Third, cancer power triggers people because you carry quiet standards, not loud demands, not constant testing, standards. You can be kind and still not be easily accessed. You can be warm and still not be available to everyone. And that confuses people who believe kindness is a weakness they can exploit. They test you, expecting you to fold. Then they meet the part of cancer that says, no, calmly, without revenge, without chaos, without apology. And it shakes them. Fourth, you don't just notice patterns, you remember them. Cancer is an archive with a heartbeat. People who rely on selective memory get uncomfortable around you. Not because you're keeping score, but because you're awake. You remember the way they treated you when no one was watching. You remember what changed in their tone the moment they got what they wanted. And when you remember, you become harder to manipulate. That alone triggers anyone who survives by rewriting history. Fifth, your intuition is inconvenient for liars. Some people lie to you. Some people lie to themselves. Cancer can sense both. You can feel when someone's words are polished but their energy is hungry. You can feel when their apology is a costume. You can feel when their "I miss you" is really "I miss what you gave me." And the truth is, people don't always get angry because you accuse them. They get angry because you didn't fall for it. Sixth, your love is protective, not performative. You don't need to be loud to be powerful. Cancer protects what it loves like a sacred vow. You can be gentle and still be impossible to bulldoze. And that triggers people who only understand strength when it's aggressive. They don't know what to do with someone who can hold a boundary while keeping a soft voice. It terrifies them because it means you're not reacting, you're choosing. Seventh, cancer power triggers people because you can endure. You have a quiet stamina that doesn't look glamorous. You can sit with pain and still remain human. You can grieve and still keep your heart open. You can lose something and still not become cruel. And that is deeply confronting to people who believe suffering must harden you, who believe survival requires numbness. Your resilience exposes their avoidance. Eighth, you don't chase what disrespects you forever. Cancer might give chances because your compassion is real, but once the soul is done, it's done in a way people don't expect. Not with drama, not with humiliation, with distance, with silence that has clarity in it. And that triggers people who got used to you being the emotional home they could leave and return to whenever they felt like it. They panic when the door they took for granted becomes a wall. 9th, your empathy doesn't make you blind. That's the part people misunderstand. Cancer can understand someone's wounds and still refuse to be cut by them. Cancer can see the child in a person and still hold the adult accountable. And accountability feels like rejection to people who want comfort without growth. They will call you cold the moment you stop enabling them. But the truth is, you're not cold. You're finally warm toward yourself. 10th, your presence makes people confront their own emotional poverty, not financial poverty, emotional poverty. Some people have never learned how to truly receive love. It scares them. It feels too intimate, too exposing, too real. So when cancer offers steady care, they get restless. They pick fights. They disappear. They sabotage, because receiving would require them to admit they're hungry for something they don't know how to hold. And it's easier to call cancer too much than to admit they're not enough for themselves yet. 11th, cancer power triggers people because you carry sacred privacy. You don't reveal everything. You don't hand your whole heart to a stranger just because they asked nicely. You move slowly. You observe. You feel your way into trust, like walking barefoot at night, carefully, deliberately listening for what's true. People who want instant access feel entitled to you. They call you guarded, but what they really mean is, you're not easy to consume. 12th, you see through charm when it isn't backed by character. Some people survive on charisma. They can make anyone laugh. They can say the right things. They can sound sincere. But cancer listens to the silence between the sentences. Cancer notices how they treat people when they're tired. Cancer watches what they do when they're not trying to impress. That kind of discernment threatens people who want to be adored without being accountable. 13th, cancer triggers people because you don't compete, you connect. And connection is not something a shallow person can fake for long. A shallow person can win attention. They can win validation. They can win a moment. But cancer looks for something else. A bond that is safe, consistent, emotionally honest. And when you refuse to play games, it exposes the people who only know how to win love by controlling it. Your authenticity feels like rebellion. 14th, your devotion has a spiritual force. When cancer loves you, it's not casual. It's like lighting a candle and guarding the flame with your hands. It's like praying without words. That devotion can awaken guilt in people who have treated love like a convenience store. Take what you want, leave when it's hard, come back when you're lonely. Your sincerity mirrors their emptiness, and mirrors make people angry when they don't like what they see. 15th, your growth is quiet, but it's undeniable. Cancer doesn't transform by becoming louder. Cancer transforms by becoming truer. The more you heal, the less you need to prove anything. The less you tolerate manipulation, the less you abandon yourself for someone else's comfort. And this is the part that triggers people the most. When you stop being available to their chaos, they lose the role you played in their story. And here's what no one says out loud. Sometimes people don't hate cancer. They hate what cancer represents, a kind of love that cannot be bought. A kind of intuition that cannot be tricked, a kind of emotional courage that refuses to pretend. If you have cancer energy, you are a reminder that real connection exists, and that reminder can feel like judgment to someone who has been living in shallow water. There's also a deeper truth beneath the triggers. Your power is not meant to punish anyone, it's meant to protect your soul. Cancer didn't become strong because it wanted to intimidate the world. Cancer became strong because it had to survive what it felt. Because it learned that tenderness without boundaries becomes self-betrayal. because it learned that love without self-respect becomes a slow spiritual bleeding. So if you've ever been told you're too sensitive, hear me clearly. Sensitivity is not the problem. The problem is living in a world where many people have been rewarded for being emotionally asleep. Your sensitivity is your spiritual instrument. It's your inner compass. But it must be held with wisdom. It must be paired with self-trust. Because not everyone deserves access to the parts of you that are sacred. And if you're listening to this and realizing you've been shrinking, lowering your standards, dimming your intuition, apologizing for your depth, let this be your turning point. You were not made to be easy for everyone. You were made to be true. You were made to love in a way that heals, not in a way that empties you. You were made to be a home, yes, but not a home people can burn down and still call theirs. Join as a member to support the channel and unlock exclusive content. If you're still here, take a breath and let this land. The people who can't handle cancer power are often the people who benefited from you doubting it. They benefited when you second-guessed your intuition. They benefited when you kept giving without receiving. They benefited when you stayed available to prove your worth. Your healing changes the rules. Your clarity ends the discounts. Your boundaries stop the emotional theft. And if this message is resonating, take a second and gently tap like on this video, because it helps this reach the people who are waking up in silence and realizing they've been carrying too much for too long. Now I want you to make this personal, because transformation becomes real when it has a name. In the comments, share your date of birth and your zodiac sign. And if you're a Cancer or you love one, tell me, what is the one trait people misunderstand about you the most? Cancer power is not loud. It's lunar. It changes tides. It moves what looks unmoving. It turns pain into perception and perception into protection. And yes, some people will always be triggered by what they cannot control. Let them. You were not born to be manageable. You were born to be whole. So carry your tenderness like a sacred thing, not as an apology, not as a bargaining chip, as truth. Let your intuition guide you. Let your boundaries hold you. Let your love be something you offer with discernment, not something you leak into people who are committed to staying the same. If you want more messages like this, more clarity, more emotional truth, more spiritual depth, subscribe to Signs and Secrets and stay close to this space. And before you go, hit like again if this felt like someone finally put words to what you've been living. Keep your heart soft, but keep your standards sacred. Keep your compassion alive, but keep your self-respect stronger. The right people won't be triggered by your depth. They'll be healed by it. And the ones who can't handle it, they were never meant to hold you anyway. Subscribe, stay with us, and keep walking toward the version of you that no longer apologizes for being real. If you want to hear everything the universe has to say to you, watch these other videos on our channel.